Alright, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Mob Psycho 100, Season 2, Episode 6. Oh my gosh. So, that last episode was a banger. Just crazy, just absolutely nuts episode.
Doozy. Like, the helmet cult has now funds to the tune of about $5 million US.
I mean, that is
500 million, yeah.
That is a thing. So that's happening. But even more so, it had such a happy ending now that I'm like, wait, what's next?
Yeah.
So y'all, like, without further ado, let's just get into this and find out. 4 years ago.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Is this Reigen backstory, maybe?
Oh, that would be cool. So a sales call place. Yes, it's Reigen.
Yes,
it's Reigen. Oh,
this is absolutely where he would have come from.
Oh, is he quitting his job? That was him quitting his job.
Either that or he got fired.
Wait.
Wow.
Oh. Ready to set me off, Mom. Get ready. Did you ever have Mom? Get ready to set me off, Mom. Get ready. Coming down. Can you feel your satisfaction? You're a mob. Can you feel your frustration? Coming down. Can you feel your satisfaction? You're a mob. Do you want to be a man? Ranjete kojo wa minimato te break it down. Genkai no koe miru keshikai 99.9 99.9 Shotai wo fume se hansen tenji. Could write my life, could write my side, could write my heart in such uncommon places. Is that your deep? Is that your mind? The mob is right, the mob inside, the mob is the inverse of latent untruth. Is that your duty? Is that your why? The massacre, whoa, your life is your own. Get ready to set me off, mob. Get ready, did you ever have mob? Get ready to set me off, mob. Get ready. He's counting up to 100. New record! Ah! Yeah. Heave ho, heave ho. Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. Yes, that sounds awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes. Nice idea. It was in tofu spirits. Oh, that's great. Oh. Wow. Unlimited fries and drinks, yep. Indeed. So inspirational. Oh, cool, he's admitting it. It's like, oh, you're still doing that? Oh, such a sweet, wholesome episode so far. Yes. Reigen. Yep. Good. Good.
All right. Oh, come on, Reigen. Wow.
I like that they're being really good about it, though. But this is something that's if this is the direction they're taking the story in.
At least it is an actual spirit.
Oh, Mom is not happy.
No, he's not.
学校やプライベートがいきなり呼び出すのはもうやめてください。せいぜい筋トレの部活くらいじゃないのか？
Reigen.
それかまたデート詐欺か何かのか？
Oh, come on.
だから成長しねえな。
Seriously?
そいつらはお前の理解者になることには大きな意義が。お前の師匠力をコントロールで。俺のおかげでも。
Oh, crap.
手を選べよモブ。片方を切り捨てろ。どうせお前の大切に思って。
This is very uncharacteristic of Reigen.
Yeah.
Oh, just a bit. You think?
Good. Good.
ミスター。何言ってんだモブ。ラーメンでもないし。
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is good. Yeah,
way too much. You need to apologize, man.
Yeah, you need to fix this.
でもあいつが俺以外に俺と関わりをまた元の孤独に。
What makes you think that?
あいつは必ずここに戻る。
Maybe this is Dimple messing with Reigen a little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
師匠のところには行かないことにし。喧嘩だ。 もうやつと。
And the fact that Dimple says that.
Dimple's reinforcing it more than it really was, yeah.
レーゲン師匠の言葉に借りすぎてた。
Oh, dang.
全部がうまくいくようになったんだ。
No.
I mean, this is an important part of growing up, but
Yeah.
お前だけじゃ良くないことにもう少し自分のやりたいことを考え
Good.
yeah,
This is awesome.
just wish it didn't come at Reigen's expense.
Yeah.
この家業はもともと俺の身一つで成立してき
Right.
たんだ。
Okay.
モブがいなくて困ることなんかあるか。自分は有限だしな。
Oh,
を
dang.
広めるべきだ。おお、なんかすげえ前向きになってきたぞ。悪いなモブ。
This is cool getting the inside look, though.
俺
Yeah.
は全然悔しくないぞ。
I have a bad feeling about kind of the
Everything.
background stuff, you know, kind of
Yeah.
just the feeling that
ひどく後悔してるだろうな。大人
Get
の
your
俺
head
は
out
事
of
情
your
も
ass,
させる
man.
し、気にしてないというのに。バカな！あのモブが楽しそうにしているいたのか。だってめ。
yeah, Dimple.
隠れてなんかいねえよ。
Yep.
シゲはお前のこと全く何にも。
Yeah, it's probably Dimple.
Well, because Dimple wants to use Mob.
Uh-huh.
That's what he's wanted all this time, yeah.
モブはますます能力を使わなくなる。この先もずっとやっていくのか。そりゃ平和だな。ことを選んだモブに利用価値はもうない。ただの中学生にひっついてせいぜい楽しく過ごしたい。まず元気そうで何より会うこともないかもな。
Oh, Reigen. You done goofed
Yeah.
so hard. Oh. And this will be cool, though, because he's been a very static character.
This is true.
And actually, like, kind of getting into where his headspace will be once he realizes how much he's messed up.
この間バイトで行けなかっただろ。
Hey!
だし入ろうぜ。
Yeah!
Awesome.
近くにいればセンス。
いやちょっと心の準備が。
いいからほら入った入った。
フレンドブックチェックしなかったな。今は
Friend book. Oh my gosh.
できるからメッセージ来てるじゃん。そうか。
Dang.
Wow.
マジかよ。
Oh. Mom. Oh. Whoa. Oh, that's depressing.
That's really depressing.
That's really depressing.
Holy crap. Mom, stop singing.
楽しいか？
一緒に
多分。
メランコリー。モブ君リズム感ないのね。
イエイ。はい。
Correct. Oh, Reigen. Oh, man.
あら、あなたかちゃん。レモンサワー。サワー多めで。お酒大丈夫なの？ああ、エセ宗教などに引っかかりやすい体質のも
Oh,
のばかり。
dang. Gotcha.
そういった類の悩みや愚痴を誰かに聞いてもらいたい連中ここでストレスを吐き出していく。
Gotcha.
俺みたいな業者にとっては格好の
Wow.
弱い人間のたまり場だ。相談を聞いて適当な助言をするだけでやたら慕われる。
Wow.
俺にとって友人に近い。
Because they're like him.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
今日誕生日なんだ。
おめでとう。先生おめでとうございます。
おめでとう。
どうも。
Oh.
逆効果だったな。
Oh.
誰とでもいいから会話しような。
といたのに。
That's how stressed he is?
この状況はまずい。
Wait.
まずい流れに乗ろうとしている。
What if he's possessed?
I wouldn't be surprised. The question is by who, because I don't
Mogami?
think it's...
No. Oh. Whoa. Whoa, he's having an existential crisis.
何者かに。
Oh, this is scary.
Okay.
切れたレーゲンは明確な変化を起こした。
That putting on of the suit was
この
amazing.
霊言新たかが引き受けた。
活動を始めたり、除霊の様子をネット人生相談も始めたりして。
Oh, cool.
Okay.
つつも
All
今
right.
まで通りこなしていった。
Gotcha.
中でも超幽霊と噂されており、多くの霊能力者が断念した難問。
やめておき。我々の手に負えるものじゃない。
しかしレーゲンは複数のアカウントで連日深夜を囲い込み、袋叩きを開始。そしてついに除霊に成功。
除霊できたんですね。
Wow.
どうよって。
能力者ですか。課金しすぎて赤字か。
この成功を話題になっていった。
Oh, wow.
知名度は加速し、雑誌からのインタビューを受けるまでになった。
テレビ。
This seems actually very similar to what happened with Mogami Keiji.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a little freaky.
Yep.
テレビで霊能界の大物ですよ。
Oh, this seems very familiar.
Uh-huh.
霊能力は実在するのかスペシャル生放送でお送りしてます。海老原森蔵ゲストに SF 学者茂木達也さん社の方々に来ていただいてます。本日はよろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。トントン拍子に盛り上がってる感じだ。
今回は割に招待に除霊ます。
Oh,
はいはい。もし全ったらファンとかできちゃうんじゃないの。
crap.
ここは気合の入れどころだな。とか思ってるだろう。
Your next line is...
Okay. Whoa. Whoa.
He's trying to out him.
Yeah. Oh my god.
This is just like what Reigen did at the video game.
Yeah.
And that's
And we end the episode? What?
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 Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
It's okay. Okay, here's the thing. This is an adaptation, you know, of a manga. This was a very much a new arc kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because they went from the past stuff with this, you know, kind of Mogami Keiji thing.
But this could just be like a 1 or 2, like a 2 or 3 episode thing.
But just the fact that they switched so hard to having it focus heavily on Reigen.
Uh-huh. It could be the same as what Ritsu got in season 1. You know?
Yeah, okay, sure. I guess it just wasn't as abrupt because Ritsu didn't have characterization at that point, whereas Reigen at this point has so much. And
But it
the
was
stuff
a
that they did
major
came-
shift.
It shifted so much so it felt almost uncharacteristic of Reigen.
It definitely did. So the fact that they acknowledged that by making it feel like it could be some sort of supernatural element, possession, or whatever is really comforting.
Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna be that now that they're doing it this
Could
way.
be. Whoa.
I don't know.
Okay, so
this is bad. Like,
Yes.
let's first acknowledge.
Oh, yeah.
this is really bad because
Yep.
here's where you look at this from the standpoint of just Mob as the main character in the story and stuff like that. They basically said, okay, we're gonna focus on Reigen now. In order to kind of do that, we do need to have Mob be pushed out of the story for a little bit.
sure.
Reigen, I sense a separation of time here because
I mean, there were the time skips and
those
time
were
jumps around and
those were
stuff.
flashbacks back.
Well, right, but they did the 1 week later, and things like that. But yeah.
I think the thing that's important to realize here was that this day was coming, no matter what time it was. Eventually, Mob would realize,
right,
I'm kind of getting taken advantage of here by you. Mm-hmm. Even if there's a wholesome aspect to it,
right,
with how Reigen compliments it, he is still doing that, though. He's underpaying him. He's treating him like a novice. He's lying to him about his psychic powers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. This day was going to come eventually. What they're basically saying, let's just move it along and have that day come right now,
right,
because there's all this past stuff that's been happening in the previous episodes of the season, with Reigen starting to lose touch a little bit with Mob.
Right.
And I think that's good to have also with the fact that Mob just had a very traumatic experience where he essentially did time skip and Reigen didn't.
And because of that, it makes sense that he would start questioning things, because he was made to question stuff during that time. So the fact that he's still questioning things when he comes back makes total sense.
So that's kind of why I don't think it's going to be anything spiritual with Reigen that's negatively affecting him. I think if anything, what this is a new segment of the story, like you said, kind of like Ritsu, where this is just something that's happening, and it's a new type of conflict that they'll have to figure out a way to move past.
Right.
But they cannot ignore the conflict. They have to actually go through the consequences of it. And it's to make us also, I would say, realize that Reigen is going to have to grow. And in fact, they did that. He's changing. He's actually doing things differently.
Yes.
But it was really odd that he did things very Mogami Keiji-like.
Right. And just the abrupt turn was very jarring. Because the thing is, with Ritsu in the first season, they had already seeded the aspects, much in the same way that they did with Reigen, but of the fact that, he was jealous of Mob and his abilities and things like that, right? But because we didn't know much about him, when they started aggravating what was there, they did it in a way that felt natural, because we hadn't seen anything to the contrary. Whereas with Reigen, it was like, there was so much to the contrary with, like, yes, okay, he is, taking advantage of Mob and things like that. But, but there's so much about him is just awesome and amazing and wholesome, and the life lessons that he gives Mob and everything, that seeing this all of a sudden, it's like, either this was written by a different writer, or he's being spiritually affected or something, but they could still be going at it for the same Ritsu angle, because this is, but I don't know.
I think here's the other thing, is that Reigen has been a static character up until this point.
Yeah.
Reigen hasn't actually changed that much. And this is something that's been kind of cool, because I think in season 1, what they were trying to make the point of is that he wasn't actually changing as he went towards the final episode, where he had his really cool Reigen sensei moment.
Yeah.
That was just unveiling who Reigen is. But that's a huge contradiction, because it still doesn't deny the fact that he's using Mob. When we get into this stuff here, we have actually the person who's changed the most, who is Mob. Reigen's
been that anchor, and now Mob doesn't necessarily need an anchor. And
yes, but there were moments earlier on in the season where Reigen was screwing up, and he was saying things that made us go, whoa, hold on. And actually, it was to the point where we nearly thought that Mob subconsciously cursed Reigen.
Right.
Back then, because Reigen started to step on his toes of free will, basically.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to go that way, but this is something that should have eventually happened. If anything, we would have just liked a little bit more build up to it,
right?
And to show maybe from Mob's perspective how he started to notice these things a little bit more,
right?
But now that we're here,
there's a lot that they can do here, because the thing is that, like, okay, the fact that Reigen doesn't have any psychic powers, that's a secret that he's kept from Mob, and it's a point where they can have conflict. And in other series, that something like that would definitely be used for melodrama, right? And it would be like, oh, you found out and you lied to me and all this stuff, and then suddenly everything else is thrown out the window, when it's like, okay, it wouldn't blow up that much just because of something like that. Hopefully not. Yeah. But so they didn't do that, and instead what they did is they made Reigen actually really mess up, so that way there would be a good reason for there to be that disconnect, for the friendship and the relationship to be damaged, right?
Yeah, and Mob didn't fire back; he just left.
Right, exactly.
He just was like, I'm done.
So everything that Mob did was great and awesome and fantastic, right? Yep. The thing is that because it was so abrupt, it feels a bit off for Reigen.
Right.
But since they're focusing on him, hopefully they'll be able to unveil a bit more of the kind of person he is, how he got to be where he is, what he's going to do moving forward, and things like that, and they can move past it. But it's still an awkward transition. So if they did want to do something, they don't have to. But if they did want to do something where there was some sort of spiritual influence, it would smooth things out a lot more, and then they could still have all the stuff that happened as far as Reigen and Mob's relationship changing still be a thing because of that, because it was something that happened, even though it was something that happened because Reigen was being influenced. So that way it doesn't feel like they're backtracking and making it so that as if the arc that we're now starting just didn't happen. But
I think that they'll have lasting consequences in the same way it seems like that Mogumi's influence did have a lasting influence on Mob. I think that Reigen getting the actual backstory characterization, getting more inside his headspace stuff, is the really important positive to be looked at here. Because Reigen, as of now, up till now, has kind of been a meme. He's not
an amazing meme.
But he's not that deep of a character, except for kind of what he means for the meta narrative,
or at least
that
Mob. Complex of a character.
No, I mean even deep as a character, because his character in the story is one that I feel like contributes more to the meta narrative of what Mob Psycho's themes are about, rather than actually Mob as a character or even the plot surrounding it. Like a lot of his things seem to be specifically based on the charm and power of his personality, rather than why is his personality this way. Like, we have no...
For him as a person, right?
For him as a person.
As the story, you're right.
Then as the story, right.
One thing that I almost wonder if they could have done this differently as a way to make the transition feel more natural. Is if Reigen started having this crisis of faith and everything, like, and, just wondering, thinking, like, what is my life, and I don't have any friends and things like that. If they did that at the beginning... So that way, when he starts like getting shorter with Mob and things like that, it makes sense because he's coming from a lower place, right? Because the thing is that Reigen is very smart. So granted, he's been able to just sort of like tell Mob to do things and Mob will do it. But
he's high charisma, not high wisdom. I think that's something that's
sure, but the thing is, he would be aware of what's happening, right? Because the main thing was that Reigen seemed clueless. It wasn't just that he was like making mistakes, but that he wasn't at all aware that he was making mistakes. Because at least in the previous thing,
not until Mob responded,
right? Because and even then, not really, because he was still sure that he was in the right. Because with what happened before, with when he was talking to Mob, he spoke to Mob, and it was something that he ended up eventually saying, yeah, it's fine, we don't have to do it, and the internal monologue wasn't spoken, which is where most of the problem came in, which is great, because I could totally see him doing that. He says something and then he thinks about it and he's like, okay, yeah, totally, but then Mob doesn't see the thought process, so he's just there to linger on what he said for a long time, and that can cause issues, right? But here there was communication about it, right? And Reigen still wasn't able to get the hint, so so
that's on Reigen.
Totally, 100%.
It's something interesting, though, that they're deciding to do this now, and I think this is 100% because of the adaptation. I think that this is something where we're getting basically some not filler, but some kind of padding content removed, where there probably was something in the middle of this here that isn't involved for whatever reason due to the adaptation.
I wouldn't be too surprised.
Also, it does seem like we're going into a new story arc. Like, we've switched main characters, basically. We've brought Reigen into this kind of limelight here of like character focus, all the way to the point where we gave actual flashback backstory of him. We've never gotten that before. And we gave that stuff with his mom sending him an email being like, are you still in that shady business? Don't you know what the neighbor's kid is doing with his life by this point?
Right.
Like, oh my gosh. And then the gift she saved
the gift
him.
for his...
the gift.
For his birthday is... get a real job. Wow. I mean, he doesn't have a real job, but or it's a sketch job, but yeah, wow.
In some ways, in some ways, here's something that I can draw from kind of a personal experience thing here with Reigen, is that there's a lot of times where you look at kind of where you're at as a person, and you realize that where you're at as a person is insufficient for the necessity of your environment. Kind of, it's
Sure,
insufficient, basically. So what he ends up doing is he moves environments to be in an area where he can be valued, instead of doing what Mob is doing and improving himself, so that he
seeking out the environments that will cause him to be, sufficient, as opposed to
which is exactly what he did at the bar.
Right.
Exactly what he did.
Yep. And he realized how empty that was to the point where he was trying to get himself to throw up, and he ended up doing that even though no alcohol in that drink, dude,
Nope. Yeah. That's how like messed up this whole thing got into his head. So, here's the positive of this here. He then realizes that Mob was right without actually saying that Mob was right. It is about self-improvement. It is about getting real with yourself, being honest, and taking the daily grind into, to being your ally. And making an effort. And in fact, this episode starts off with Mob doing the grind, the push-ups.
That's right, and hitting a PR. And
hitting a new PR. And everyone's like, oh, I thought you weren't actually going to be getting something out of this, but actually you are kind of growing. Soon you'll be at the level of a second-year middle schooler.
An average second-year middle schooler.
Average second-year middle schooler, exactly. And I love that that's something where they're celebrating that.
Yes.
He has people around him that are celebrating his little victories.
Right.
Do you know how powerful it is to have people that do that for you? It is so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yep.
And now Reigen's going to have to realize that as well, especially I hope that he kind of, it doesn't go perfectly for him. I don't want the TV thing to go perfectly for him.
Right, and I don't think it will. It will. The fact that, someone is trying to make sure that it doesn't go perfectly for him, and the fact that he, with the other jobs, he was thinking like, okay, all right, it wasn't an actual spirit. But there's the possibility that this is an actual spirit. So, But the similarities between Reigen and how things are going now and forget his name.
Ritsu.
No, not Ritsu. The evil guy, the murderer.
Yeah, Mogami Keiji.
Yeah, Keiji.
It is a little bit suspicious.
All right.
Now, Mogami Keiji was taken by the claw guy. His spirit was, put into that thing there, and it's like, okay, you know what? But there we go.
But here's the thing. Yeah. Okay. Now, they wouldn't have to do this. So with everything, with Dimple, it doesn't seem like it would be Dimple. It could be, but I don't think so, because there's usually telltale signs and things like that. But what if the claw guy was like, okay, I can't actually deal with Mob. Here's what I can do. I can deal with Reigen.
Why would the claw guy care about them?
If he's trying to get to Mob somehow.
Why would he care about Mob, though?
Because Mob's a legendary, super powerful psychic.
But I mean by that is the goal being you're what, trying to kill him, trying to capture him,
trying to control him. What everyone in Mob Psycho wants to do with Mob, really.
So a character that has no characterization.
Well, right, but that could be how it's introduced here, because otherwise we would expect it, right? But that's how they could do it and have it be a twist.
Right, that's why I think it would be Dimple, if anyone, right? Well, because Dimple's just closer to the whole thing.
The reason why I would hope it wasn't Dimple is that there were a lot of points where they showed Dimple and Reigen during the points where you would expect him to be possessed, or whatever, and Dimple wasn't possessing him, and then there's the whole thing of the dimples, and they could not do that just for the sake of plot twist, but that would seem a little bit like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's also the same TV thing and whatnot, I would not be surprised if that, and here's the other thing, that way it would be an overarching antagonist for this season.
Sure.
He comes back and he gets Reigen. It's like, okay, there we go. Real personal conflict now.
That would be freaky. One of the things that they could do with it without having it be a possession thing was they go about the influence of power without it being direct, basically being an indirect kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's possible. There's a possibility that they could go with the Dimple has been affected by Mogami in some way because he went in there.
Sure. Yeah.
And wait, when like he escaped through the crack in the world, basically. But basically, here's another thing. I've been watching Dimple closely this season specifically, and there's been a couple moments that were very much like Dimple, I'm watching
like,
you.
One of those things like, why does Mob have him around? Because the thing is that he talks about like, oh, I want to, control you and all that stuff, like, because he has said basically that. But
he keeps that to himself, of course. But yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, he has his own internal thoughts and stuff.
That's right. Okay, Okay, I thought there was something where at some point he was talking about how this is all part of my like eventual scheme, rise back to power. Maybe that was more with Ritsu or something.
Well, what it was when he went to save Mob. He realized, well, if I want this kid to be someone that I can use later, I need to save him here.
No, I'm talking about like talking to actual people, not just internal monologue.
Sure.
Right. Because it's one of those things where it's like I wonder sometimes like why Dimple's still around, especially with the thing with Ritsu, with everything that Dimple did with Ritsu of trying to corrupt Ritsu and all that stuff. Even if Mob isn't aware that Dimple was doing that, which I think it would be, Ritsu at the very least is aware of that, and but
right. Mob basically gave him the, you're just on a short leash. If you do anything that I see that I don't like, I'm going to exercise you. So Dimple just puts on the best suit and appearance basically when he's near Mob. I totally understand why he's still around at this point. The thing is that he does shady-ish stuff that aren't really with regards to his actions, but more with his words. Right. He'll say things and he'll be in specific places at specific times. And I think that it's important to remember that he's bouncing back and forth between Reigen and Mob during this whole they're separated thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is him kind of, okay, I'm just keeping tabs on where Reigen is at. So is Reigen going to... Nope. Okay, I don't have to do anything. Reigen's going to just... go off and do his own thing. Awesome, sweet. I don't have to deal with him. I'm going to go back to Mob because Mob's where the juice
is
action
is,
where all the potential is. I think if anything, it's a slow burn thing right now. Reigen did it on his own screw up.
Right.
Mob maybe was helped out in some ways by maybe Dimple's certain little egging him on to be like, hey, why is your teacher like bringing you out here again?
Exactly.
That was a moment. What was that episode? That was the freaky episode where he was telling him to exercise the family. And Dimple was doing a couple things that were
Dimple
really shady
specifically
there.
was antagonizing the family so that they would become evil spirits. I'm watching you.
I'm watching you, Dimple. But in this episode, Reigen, it's a mixed bag for me. I don't like the way they wrote his abrupt stuff there. But I really like the kind of characterization we're getting for him. Because he will legitimately be changed after this segment of story.
Right.
Like, he will have to be different.
Why it's happening...
They'll have to redeem it a little bit.
Right, they'll have to redeem it a little bit. But what they're doing with it now that it is happening.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. Saddest part was definitely the mom thing there.
Oh, yeah.
But there were a couple things that were kind of interesting. One of the things that they said was that he focused on some different aspects of his work. He gave life counseling. He gave like specific things that I'm like, these are things that are your strengths, Reigen.
Right, exactly.
These are things that we've seen you do successfully with someone like Mob. And we're like, yes, do that.
Keep doing it. Do more of that. Yeah.
But they focus in the backstory as to like him starting the whole spirits consultations and such business, which when he started it, though, he saw an ad for a get lucky, get rich quick scheme type thing in the newspaper.
And given that he apparently worked at like a call sales center before and was probably pretty good at it,
Probably decently good,
it doesn't come as a surprise. I mean, he's Reigen after all.
Right, so he was really good at catching people's attention and adapting quickly on the fly to sell them what he needed to sell them. But what I think they're slightly insinuating in here is that there was a potential in there for a slightly noble reason as to why he started this business. Now, I don't think it's the case. I think he was essentially trying to scam them.
What do you think it was?
Because there are these people out there that have like like really like bad scams that they run.
Oh, gotcha. And he's
really
like,
bad scam. I'm going to less scam you.
Right.
I'm going to scam you for 10% of that money. What was the amount that the one guy who was a legit...
Oh, yeah.
He was Shinra, I think, right? Is his name, right?
I think so.
And he's a legit psychic.
And he was going to charge 10 times more than Reigen did for the thing that he... Yeah,
Yeah, you don't need to necessarily compare that to mean that guy's bad, because he's doing it he's an actual psychic.
Yeah, he's an actual psychic.
But with Reigen, what I think is important to bring up is that
he'll solve the people's problems and listen to them when they don't actually need a psychic or anything like that. They just need someone to talk to basically tell them it's okay.
He's basically a counselor who's scamming them for the psychic stuff.
For all the people that aren't honest enough with themselves to know that they just need to go talk to somebody.
Which is interesting, because that means that Reigen has been all along a self-improvement guru type of character, who's also got the flavor of scamming people, but he's never taken, I think, his own advice. So what I'm seeing here is that he has his own problems, right?
Right.
And we saw that with the mom and the family. That oh my gosh, that just made me depressed, because I've heard stuff like that from close friends. Not necessarily as much from my own family, but I've heard stuff similar like that from my own family. But I'll tell you, if this is actually some really like next level thing where he's been projecting out kind of his own stuff out there, he's unwilling to change, to grow himself, to better himself in a way that Mob is at such a young age, which by the way, can we get a shout out to Mob, like realizing that he like is not gaining anything by being your person like Reigen.
The whole thing of the grow up Mob, as much as that line hurt and I hated that Reigen said it.
I hated that.
That is actually what Mob needs to do here. And that's what he is doing, and he's doing a great job of it. So
and imagine them coming back together as equals.
Oh yeah.
Like, can you imagine like how cool the story will be?
Well, because what I want to see is the point where Reigen realizes, I have so much to learn from Mob.
Yeah.
Like that's
and that's going to be so good. That's going to be so good for Mob to hear as well, because in some ways Mob doesn't really care about, maybe I would say, as much of the lies as I think he does about Reigen not treating him as a legitimate, valuable whole person. Reigen treating him more as an asset than a person.
Right.
And I think that the lies and stuff could be forgiven if he would fix that.
Right, because the thing is, Reigen, he uses lies to tell the truth, right?
Yes, he does.
And should he be lying? No. But the thing is that he anytime he's helping somebody, he is trying to address the real problem that they have.
Right.
The problem that they don't even necessarily know that they have. Now with Mob, it's different, because he's been using Mob and he's gotten lazy with Mob.
Yes, he's gotten very lazy. That's a great way to describe it.
Because he's been able to help him before, so now he just thinks whatever he thinks, right?
Yeah.
He's human. So I don't think Mob would necessarily have a problem with the lying, although he would really prefer if Reigen didn't. Especially since, but he realized, a lot of the stuff you say isn't necessarily true, and he wasn't angry about that.
No.
But the main thing was when Reigen started telling him things about like his friends, that they don't actually care about you, and then Mob got the
Mob got the like, you crossed the line. And one, like, what's great, I loved about this, is that Mob knows that he can't know that. So it wasn't like he was rejecting out of, no, you're not right. You're lying. He's like, you couldn't know that.
Yeah,
so you have to be lying.
Right. He's like, and I know.
And
the thing is, I know what it's like when they don't.
Right.
And this isn't it. And don't you dare say that it is.
Yeah. The chills that like came from Mob in this episode were really good. But I gotta say, the next episode needs to be better than this one.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the writing.
Yeah.
Because I understand that this is something that was eventually going to happen. And they literally had Reigen say, I knew it was a matter of time until this happened and stuff.
But the way that this started was not good. Now, the fact that it was with the start and the rest of it was really good, that gives me a lot of hope that this next episode, because it doesn't have to really change anything in order to be good, other than maybe if it retroactively gave an explanation as for why the beginning was the way it was, right?
And I think we're starting to get a semblance of that reason with the whole thing with the mom and the whole thing of potentially going further into the details as to why he did this job in the first place.
But again, that really stuff would have been good to have first.
But I think we're going to get that eventually, and I really, really want them to go into that whole thing with why he decided to do this in the first place. Because the bar place, him knowing these people and them being the ones that fall for schemes and scams and stuff like that, that makes me realize that maybe in some way he is like one of those people.
Sure.
He knows that he's like one of those people.
Right.
But he feels like he can grow out of being like one of those people. The problem is he still uses people like that.
Well, right. And that's how I could see it definitely being a thing, because, okay, he started at a sales call center. Like, that's...
Yeah.
I would hate to work at one of those places, and my heart goes out to the people that have to do that for 8 hours a day. Like, that's gotta suck. Right,
that must be rough.
But he was probably good at it because of just, the skill sets that he had, knowing all the people at the bar, and like, he's probably been doing this kind of stuff more or less kind of his whole life.
Yeah.
And he chose to leave it. It certainly seemed like that was that was something that he's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but anything other than this. And that's really good, because that's basically saying, I see a problem here, I want to change it. I don't know how I'm going to change it, but I'm just going to change it somehow.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's good.
So it's good. It's a step in the right direction, right? So then this can be the continuation of that.
Yes, a good continuation of that. It shows that, okay, he's no longer a static character. He's been changing for a while, but in the first season we chose not to focus on it because it was Mob's growth that was important.
And I'm glad they didn't, because in a lot of ways, because that whole, like, season 1 Reigen was so great, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons that we're rejecting this episode so much as far as the beginning of it, is because Reigen was so unbelievably awesome.
Yeah, we've been in love with Reigen for like a while now, and it was even hard back when he told Mob that the client comes first at that thing. I just can't stress enough.
Say it isn't so, Joe.
Right. I just can't stress enough, though, that it's important that if anyone feels like this is awful, like if anyone's in the like this is absolute like trash writing for Reigen, remember they did show that part that he was starting to lose touch with Mob at that part when he brought the clients back a second time with Mob, given very little notice and stuff.
Right.
So this has been building. They could have built it a little better.
And the culmination of the build-up could have been a lot better.
Yes, but they're also still building, because that means now that Reigen is going to change. Reigen will have the opportunity for vulnerability. And can you imagine Reigen
being vulnerable? Oh yeah,
and not necessarily like begging on his knees for forgiveness, but something similar,
right?
Something close,
where
something
he goes
vulnerable.
He goes to Mob for advice.
Yep. There's a lot of cool things that can come from that. So y'all, Mob Psycho 100 season 2, looking forward to the next episode. We do these episodes week by week and stuff, so there's no early access for Patreon stuff, but if we want to see full-length reactions, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. Any level of support gets you access, though, to our Discord, where you can chat with us as the episodes come out. We can discuss them and all that stuff, which is pretty fun.
Pretty awesome.
But Jacob's going to promote something here real quick.
Indeed. So my sci-fi novel, Battle Lines, is available for pre-order. The link to the Kickstarter is in a pinned comment down below. It's absolutely incredible, so I highly recommend you checking it out. The characters are pretty awesome.
Cool. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.